The other thing that I find very interesting, and I think puts a little bit of a damper on the idea that our particular world was specifically designed for us, that life couldn't likely be in any other place because we're it. We are the center of the universe, even if we can prove that the sun is the center of our particular solar system here. Again, this isn't to make fun of and say people shouldn't believe what they're believing. I only have a problem with people believing these sorts of ideas when it comes to people who are in charge of policies, when it comes to climate change, when it's something that can actually have a measurable impact, not just on a few people's lives, but many people's lives, when these are the people who are making policy versus the people who they want to exclude because they don't trust anybody who's not their own kind. Not that I'm saying that my side of the fence isn't guilty of doing some of the same things. I'm just simply stating that this is an interesting article. This is something very interesting and very dynamic, or I wouldn't be bothering to present it. NASA. Yep, Mars could have supported life. Soil sample dug up by Curiosity proves it. NASA scientists examining their first sample of Martian rock dug out of the rover Curiosity found some remarkable things in there. Sulfur, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and carbon. In other words, ingredients that show that the planets once could have supported life. Lead scientist Michael Meyer, which I find an interesting name for those of you who are horror buffs, sums it up thusly. A fundamental question for this mission is whether Mars could have supported a habitable environment. From what we know now, the answer is yes. Curiosity took the samples from where it had previously found an ancient steam bed, making today's announcement more of a confirmation of what scientists suspected rather than a bombshell revelation. They found that the rock has clay minerals that could have theoretically been home to living microbes, reports the AP. We have characterized a very ancient but strangely new gray Mars, where conditions were once favorable for life, says another scientist on the team, reports CNN. And if life did exist, what happened to it? Well, capitalism wiped it out, of course, theorized Hugo Chavez. Yeah, that whole Hugo Chavez thing, they're actually trying to investigate whether Hugo was indeed poisoned, which I'm like, why? 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 But the point is, to try to bring away from this is, we have a sister planet. We have a sister planet that if conditions were a slight bit more favorable, like they are on some of the Goldilocks planets in our exosolar systems, then we would have had two planets full of life. I'm not at all trying to say this disproves a creator. I'm not at all trying to say that this disproves your holy books or what have you. I'm simply trying to say, though, that if you're going to have this, Earth is it and that is it, that we are all there is in the universe, despite the mathematical impossibility that life has not developed elsewhere in the universe, despite the fact that we've found places that meteors oftentimes can go through, that have a lot of building blocks for life, that if they impacted on a Goldilocks type planet, could absolutely see the seeds of life spring out from that. That's not to say that, for the sake of argument, if I was 100% right, that it has to necessarily mean that humanity as a whole is insignificant. Or even if it does, so what? It just simply means that you should be living your life in the pursuit of, hopefully, helping others and being a good person, but also enjoying yourself, not restricting yourself from things that you only think will get you in trouble on one end of life or the next. If anything, part of me wants to make it as a sort of an idea to just ponder. Is what is going on for you really worth just ignoring the evidence that's out there? I mean, this isn't a slam dunk case, and again, this isn't a case against God, your particular theism, or anything. This is simply just a call to think, a call to take a deep breath and just sort of soak this in. Science doesn't have to be your enemy, nor does science oftentimes want to be. But at different times, you guys have been at odds with each other, and at times you guys have both done terrible things to one another. And I don't think either side was right when they commit atrocities, FYI. But I've already presented how I know that your theism has nothing to do, has no more to do with your behavior than my non-theism has to do with my behavior. I've tried to bring forth ideas, to try to bring perspective. Like talking about the time that my son and I went to the Houston Space Center down Houston Way. And we spent some time there, quite a nice little vacation down there. And one of the things they said was there was an astronaut whose name escapes me at this time, but I believe he was one of the either one of the first men in space or one of the first men going on his way to the moon. He says when they were far out there, he put his thumb out and he couldn't see the Earth anymore. And it was as if all of our hatred, all of our differences, all of the things that we fight and kill for and make dumb decisions about could fit on the tip of his thumb. And after seeing that, his whole life changed. His whole perspective on Earth changed. Suddenly, out there, none of that mattered. And in a way, that's a good point. You think that race, even though it's a social construct, matters. The galaxy does not share your particular viewpoint. You think that men are better than women, or vice versa. The universe doesn't care. The universe does what the universe does, irregardless of whether you believe in a creator or not. We have evidence enough that the sun will become our Armageddon several thousand years from then. And anything that survives that has to deal with the end of this particular universe. I say this particular because if M theory is confirmed, and it's very, very close to becoming confirmed on many levels here, then this isn't the only universe. This isn't the only existence out there. Which means that, in a way, even if we were the only life in this universe, bar none, we're still not unique snowflakes in the fact that there are multiple us's in multiple situations in multiple realities. In another reality, I'm a successful, probably dashingly handsome and superficial movie star. In another one, I'm living in a cardboard box, wishing I was probably dead, or maybe I'm hanging on for one more day, trying to make it through the crazy world that I found myself in because of even poorer choices than those that I've known in this particular reality. And in a way, that puts perspective on things. There's so many different thoughts that enter my mind that at some point I want to expunge onto a video for all to absorb, because there's a lot of moral implications that do go into what if we could peer into those other universi versus if we had the chance to. If you could meet your other self and your other self was doing better, there's a lot of questions that could come of that. Would you keep your character? Would you alter your character? Again, but that's a deeper thought experiment I want to give on a different night, because I want to give my 2 cents on things, and I want to try, hope maybe I'll surprise you with the answer, maybe I won't.